Hello everyone, welcome to this video. From this video, we shall start the calculus of residues. So in this video, we shall have an introduction to the calculus of residues. So first, recall the definition of simply connected region. Simply connected region. A region omega is said to be simply connected if its complement is connected, right? So we say a region omega is simply connected if its complement in the plane, that is, so if omega is some region, then consider its complement. Complement means C minus omega. So if its complement is a connected set, then we say omega is a simply connected region. So complement is connected means, so recall the definition of a connected set. A set is said to be connected if it cannot be represented as disjoint union of non-empty sets, right? So if the complement of a region is connected, then the region is said to be simply connected. Now, the opposite of it, multiply connected region. So definition of multiply connected region is a region omega is said to be a multiply connected region if it is not a simply connected region, right? If a region is not simply connected, then it is multiply connected region. So that region is not simply connected means its complement will not be connected. That means whenever the complement of a region is not connected, in that case we can say omega is not simply connected, and in that case omega is said to be multiply connected. So a region is said to be multiply connected region whenever it is not a simply connected region, or whenever its complement is not connected. So complement is not connected means, so the complement can be represented as disjoint union of non-empty sets. So we use that idea of representing the complement as disjoint union of non-empty sets. So using that, we define the connectivity of a multiply connected region. So next definition is connectivity of a multiply connected region. Let omega be a multiply connected region. Then omega is said to have a finite connectivity n, right? Omega is said to have finite connectivity n if omega complement has exactly n components. So that means omega complement is the disjoint union of n components. So recall that, so any subset E of R2 or any subset of C. So if E is any subset of R2, then E can be expressed as disjoint union of maximal connected subsets of E, right? Any subset E of R2 can be expressed as disjoint union of maximal connected sets in E. So those maximal connected subsets in E are called components. So those maximal connected subsets are called components. ಅವುಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು components ಅಂತ ಕರೀತೀವಿ. So hence any subset E of R2 can be represented as disjoint union of its components. So whenever omega complement is disjoint union of n components, right? If the complement of the region omega has n components, then we will say omega has the connectivity n, right? Any multiply connected region omega is said to have a finite connectivity n if the complement of omega is the disjoint union of n components. If the complement has n components, then omega has connectivity n. So by a component of omega complement, we mean a maximal connected subset of omega complement. So omega complement can be represented as disjoint union of maximal connected subsets of omega complement. So we'll count how many maximal connected subsets are there in that disjoint union. So if there are n maximal connected subsets, in other words, there will be n components. So if omega complement has n components, then we will say omega has connectivity n, right? So also omega is said to have infinite connectivity if omega complement has infinite components. So when we are representing omega complement as disjoint union of its components, if we find there are infinitely many components for omega complement, then omega is said to have infinite connectivity. So thus, based on the decomposition of the complement of a multiply connected region, the connectivity of that region depends. So if the complement of omega has finitely many components, then the region omega will have finite connectivity. If the complement has infinitely many components, then the region will have infinite connectivity, right? In particular, any multiply connected region will have connectivity n. We'll say it has connectivity n if the complement has n components, where n is any natural number, right? So next we come to the definition of a homology basis. So any homology basis is defined for a multiply connected region. Let omega be a multiply connected region with connectivity n. So omega is a multiply connected region with connectivity n means what? Omega complement has n components, right? Okay, then a set of elements gamma 1, gamma 2, gamma n minus 1 of cycles in omega is said to be a homology basis for omega if any cycle gamma in omega is homologous to a linear combination of the elements gamma 1, gamma 2, gamma n minus 1 with integer coefficients. Right here, we are defining the notion of a homology basis for a multiply connected region. So if we start with the multiply connected region of connectivity n, then any set gamma 1, gamma 2, so on gamma n minus 1 of cycles in omega is said to be a homology basis if any other cycle in omega is homologous to a linear combination of these elements. That is, gamma is any cycle in omega means it has to be homologous to a linear combination of the elements gamma 1, gamma 2, so on gamma n minus 1, right? So mathematically, that is, for any cycle gamma in omega, there exist integers ci's such that gamma is homologous to C1 gamma 1 plus C2 gamma 2 plus 1 Cn minus 1 gamma n minus 1. So where this is called a linear combination of the cycles gamma 1, gamma 2, so on gamma n minus 1. Here gamma is homologous to this linear combination means gamma minus C1 gamma 1 plus so on Cn minus 1 gamma n minus 1. So this difference has to be homologous to 0. So a cycle is homologous to 0 means if its index with respect to any point in the complement is 0. If the index of any point in the complement with respect to this cycle is 0, then such a cycle is said to be homologous to 0, right? Okay, so this is the definition of a homology basis. So any homology basis for a multiply connected region of connectivity n is nothing but a set of n minus 1 cycles, right? Homology basis is nothing but a set of n minus 1 cycles, such that given any cycle, it has to be homologous to a linear combination of these n minus 1 cycles. And there will be n minus 1 elements in that homology basis, provided the connectivity is n. Connectivity is n. Okay, so now we shall make some observations. A multiply connected region with finite connectivity can have more than one homology basis, right? So there is no condition that a multiply connected region should have only one homology basis. It is similar to a vector space. We all know that a vector space of finite dimension can have any number of bases, right? So in a similar way, any multiply connected region can have any number of homology bases, right? Recall that any homology basis is nothing but a set of cycles, such that given any cycle, it is homologous to the linear combination of the cycles in that set, right? But any two homology bases contain the same number of elements. So given a multiply connected region of connectivity n, then omega can have any number of homology bases, but any homology basis will contain exactly n minus 1 elements. So omega can have any number of homology bases. It can have 10, it can have 100, it can have 1000. So it can have any number of homology bases, but every homology basis will contain exactly n minus 1 elements. That means which is one less than the connectivity, right? So any homology basis will contain exactly one less than the connectivity, right? In fact, the number of elements in any homology basis will be one less than the connectivity. If the connectivity is n, then any homology basis will contain n minus 1 elements. And there is no restriction for the number of homology bases. There can be any number of homology bases for a given multiply connected region. And conversely, on the other hand, if omega is a multiply connected region with finite homology basis, that is, suppose if I assume omega is a multiply connected region which has a finite homology basis, that means for the region omega, there is a set of cycles, there is a finite set of cycles, say gamma 1, gamma 2, so on, gamma k, then omega is said to have finite connectivity, and the connectivity is equal to one more than the number of elements in any homology basis. So that means if any multiply connected region omega has a finite homology basis, then we'll say omega has finite connectivity. And what about the connectivity? The connectivity is taken as one more than the number of elements in any homology basis. If any homology basis contains k elements, then the connectivity is taken as k plus 1. So thus, there is a two-sided result here. So if any multiply connected region has finite connectivity, then it will have a homology basis, and any homology basis will contain how many elements? It will contain one less than the connectivity. And conversely, if any multiply connected region has a finite homology basis, if it has a homology basis with finite elements, then we'll say that region is a multiply connected region with finite connectivity, and connectivity is taken as the number which is one more than the number of elements in any homology basis. So this is the relation between the connectivity of a multiply connected region and homology basis. If connectivity is n, then the number of elements in any homology basis is n minus 1. So one less than the connectivity. And if any homology basis for any multiply connected region, if any homology basis contains k elements, then the connectivity of that multiply connected region will be k plus 1. Right? So this will be the relation. Okay. So now based on this discussions, based on these definitions, now we shall observe something special in a multiply connected region. Let omega be a multiply connected region with finite connectivity n. So it has the connectivity n. So as it has a finite connectivity, it will have a finite homology basis. And as connectivity is n, any homology basis will contain n minus 1 elements. Let gamma 1, gamma 2, gamma n minus 1 be a homology basis for omega. That means it is a set of cycles. It is a set of cycles in omega. Now let gamma be any cycle in omega. As gamma 1, gamma 2, gamma n minus 1 forms a homology basis for omega. So, and gamma is any cycle in omega, there exist integers ci's such that gamma will be homologous to a linear combination of gamma 1, gamma 2, gamma n minus 1. That is, it will be a linear combination, say C1 gamma 1 plus C2 gamma 2, so on Cn gamma n minus 1, Cn minus 1, gamma n minus 1. So in the sense, gamma minus this linear combination will be homologous to 0. So that means we got a cycle which is homologous to 0. So this is just we are using the definition of homology basis. Homology basis. As gamma 1, gamma 2, gamma n minus 1 is a homology basis, given any cycle gamma, it will be homologous to a linear combination of these cycles. Or in other words, in other way, gamma minus this linear combination will be homologous to 0, where the right hand side is a cycle. It is a cycle which is homologous to 0. Then by general statement of Cauchy's theorem, we have integral f of z dz over this cycle will be equal to 0 for any analytic function f of z in omega. Because the general statement of Cauchy's theorem states that if f of z is any analytic function in omega and gamma is any cycle which is homologous to 0, then integral of f of z over gamma will be 0. So this is the result. This is the general statement of Cauchy's theorem. If f of z is any analytic function in omega and gamma is any cycle which is homologous to 0, then its integral over gamma will be equal to 0. Here also, if I assume that f of z is any analytic function in the region omega, and we have gamma minus C1 gamma 1 plus C2 gamma 2 so on plus Cn minus 1 gamma n minus 1 is a cycle homologous to 0. So integral of f of z over this cycle will be equal to 0. Right? Now we shall simplify this integral. So integral over gamma minus this cycle is there. So integral over the difference of the cycles will be equal to this one. So integral over gamma plus integral over minus C1 gamma 1 plus C2 gamma 2 plus so on Cn gamma n minus 1 equal to 0. So the left hand side integral can be splitted in this way. Now integral over minus gamma is minus integral over gamma. So integral f of z dz over gamma as it is minus integral f of z dz over C1 gamma 1 plus C2 gamma 2 so on Cn minus 1 gamma n minus 1. So now take this to the right hand side. It will be plus integral f of z dz over this cycle. Now once again, we have the integral over the sum of the arcs. Sum of the arcs. So it will be sum of the integral over the arcs. So the right hand side will be integral f of z over C1 gamma 1 plus integral f of z dz over C2 gamma 2 plus so on integral f of z dz over Cn minus 1 gamma n minus 1. Where I'll consider one integral, first one, C1 gamma 1. Where what is C1? C1 is an integer. C1 is an integer. So if at all C1 is positive, then it is nothing but C1 times gamma 1. That means gamma 1 added C1 times. C1 times. So that means integral over C1 gamma 1 means integral over gamma 1 plus so on gamma 1 C1 times. So what I can do, once again, I have the integral over the sum of the arcs. So it will be equal to the integral sum of the integral over the arcs. That means integral over gamma 1 plus integral over gamma 1 plus so on integral over gamma 1 C1 times. So in other words, it will be C1 times the integral of f of z over gamma 1. So this is in case C1 is positive. What happens if C1 is negative? So if C1 is negative, so I'll write C1 gamma 1 as minus C1 into minus gamma 1. So as C1 is negative, minus C1 will be positive. So minus C1 minus gamma 1 means what? It is minus gamma 1 added minus C1 times. So once again, we will be having integral over the sum minus gamma 1 plus minus gamma 1 plus minus gamma 1. How many times? Minus C1 times. So once again, I can split the integral so that it will be minus C1 times the integral over minus gamma 1 f of z dz. So once again, integral over minus gamma 1 will be minus of integral over gamma 1. So once again, minus to minus plus. So C1 into integral over gamma 1. So in any case, integral over C1 gamma 1 is C1 into integral over gamma 1. And I'll repeat the same thing for rest of the terms, right? So the right hand side will be like this: C1 times integral f of z dz over gamma 1 plus C2 times the integral f of z dz over gamma 2 so on plus Cn minus 1 times the integral f of z dz over gamma n minus 1. So therefore, integral f of z dz can be written as the summation Ci into integral f of z dz over gamma I. So now take these integrals. So take integral f of z dz over gamma I as pi. So take it as pi for each I, right? So integral f of z dz over gamma 1 is p1. This is p2. This is pn minus 1. So take each integral over the elements of the homology basis, right? Gamma 1, gamma 2, gamma n minus 1 are what? They are the, so gamma 1, gamma 2, gamma n minus 1 actually form a homology basis. So take the integral over the elements of homology basis as pi's. So pi is integral f of z dz over gamma I. Then these numbers pi's are called modulus of periodicity of the differential f of z dz, or they are called the periods of the indefinite integral f of z dz, or in simple words, pi is called the period of f of z with respect to the homology basis element gamma I. So in simple words, so pi, the number pi is called the period of f of z with respect to the homology basis element gamma I. So as there are n minus 1 homology basis elements, there are n minus 1 periods for the function f of z. So what are the periods? P1, P2, so on Pn minus 1. So P1 is the period of f of z with respect to the homology basis element gamma 1. P2 is the period of f of z with respect to the homology basis element gamma 2, and like this. So there will be n minus 1 periods for the function f of z with respect to n minus 1 homology basis elements. So thus, so with this representation, the integral f of z dz over any cycle gamma is written as, or it is expressed as, linear combination of the periods of f of z, right? So this integral is now represented as C1 P1 plus C2 P2 plus so on Cn minus 1 Pn minus 1, where P1 P2 so on Pn minus 1 are what? They are the periods of f of z. Thus any integral any integral of f of z over any cycle is simply linear combination of the periods of f of z. So in a multiply connected region, given a homology basis, so if you are ready with the periods of f of z, so given the homology basis, so you will get the homology basis elements gamma 1, gamma 2, gamma n minus 1. So try to evaluate these periods of f of z, that is integral f of z dz over the elements of the homology basis element. So if you are ready with the periods of f of z, then you can easily evaluate integral of f of z over any cycle by choosing suitable integers c1, c2, so on, cn minus 1. So in simple words, any integral f of z over any cycle gamma is simply linear combination of the periods of f of z. So just we shall conclude this part. Thus, if f of z is an analytic function in a multiply connected region omega with finite connectivity, and omega is any cycle in omega, sorry, if gamma is any cycle in omega, then the integral f of z dz over gamma is simply a linear combination of periods of f of z with integer coefficients. So if in a multiply connected region, integral of f of z over any cycle simply can be represented as linear combination of the periods of f of z. So given a multiply connected region, we can easily find a homology basis. So after getting a homology basis, we can directly calculate the periods, right? So what are periods? They are nothing but the integral of f of z over the homology basis elements. So if you are ready with periods, then you can calculate any integral of f of z over cycle gamma by choosing suitable scalars, suitable integers c1, c2, cn minus 1. So this is the advantage of a multiply connected region with finite connectivity, which will have a homology basis. Now we shall just illustrate this theory using a particular example, right? So for that, we shall define notion of doubly connected region. A multiply connected region with connectivity 2 is called a doubly connected region, right? So in particular, if any multiply connected region has connectivity 2, then such a multiply connected region is called a doubly connected region. So any region, any multiply connected region has connectivity 2 means what? So we define connectivity of a region based on the decomposition of its complement, right? So if omega complement has two components, then omega is said to have connectivity 2, right? So this is the idea behind the connectivity of a multiply connected region. Okay, now we shall have an example for a doubly connected region. So consider the annulus modulus of z greater than r1 less than r2, where r1 and r2 are any two positive reals. So it is the annulus centered at 0 between two circles of radius r1 and r2. So as we have already seen that any annulus means it is the region between two concentric circles. That means it is a region between two circles with same center and different radii. Now consider the two circles with center 0, radii r1 and r2. So this is the circle with center 0 with radius r1, and this is the circle with center 0, radius r2. Now consider the region between these two circles. So this region is called annulus. So the region between two concentric circles is called annulus. Now we assert that this annulus is a doubly connected region. So if you consider this part, so it first of all forms a region. It is open connected set. Now we assert that this region is a doubly connected region. So to say omega is a doubly connected region, what we have to show? We have to show omega has connectivity 2. So that is to show that omega complement has two components. So what are components? Components means maximal connected subsets of omega complement. Now the question is, what is omega complement? Now in this annulus, so what is the annulus? So the annulus is this one. So center 0, radius R1 and R2. So this region is omega. So this part, this shaded part is the region omega. And if I consider the plane here, so except omega, rest all is omega complement. So the region between these two circles is omega means, so the inside part, this inside part, this part, and outside the bigger circle. So these two parts form the complement of omega. So omega complement has two parts now. So one is the inside part. So that is modulus of z less than or equal to R1, and the outside part, that is modulus of z greater than or equal to R2. So these two are the two components of omega complement. In fact, the complement of omega is the disjoint union of two maximal connected subsets. One is the modulus of z less than or equal to R1 and modulus of z greater than or equal to R2. So just concentrate here. So what is annulus? Annulus means we'll collect only points between these two circles. So this is one circle and this is one circle. So the points between these two circles, the set of all points between these two circles is called annulus. So if you neglect the points between these two circles, what are the remaining points? This circle and inside this circle. So the circle means modulus of z is equal to R1, and the points inside the circle means modulus of z is less than R1. So the points on the smaller circle and points inside the smaller circle forms one part of the complement, and points on the outer circle and points which are outside the bigger circle. So this forms the other part. So points on the outside circle means modulus of z is equal to R2, and points outside the bigger circle means modulus of z greater than R2. So modulus of z less than or equal to R1 and modulus of z greater than or equal to R2. So these two components form the complement of the region omega. So the complement of omega can be written as disjoint union of these two maximal connected subsets. One is the closed disk mod z less than or equal to R1, and the other is modulus of z greater than or equal to R2. So as omega complement has exactly two components, omega will have connectivity 2. So as omega has connectivity 2, omega is said to be a doubly connected region. So omega is a doubly connected region. So in general, any annulus is a doubly connected region because its complement has two components. Now, omega is a doubly connected region. So omega has connectivity 2. So as omega has connectivity 2, now relate these two homology bases. Any multiply connected region having finite connectivity will have homology basis. Now omega is a doubly connected region. That means omega is a multiply connected region with connectivity 2. So any homology basis will contain one less than the connectivity, right? Any homology basis will contain how many number of elements? So it is the number of elements less than the connectivity, one less than the connectivity. So 2 is the connectivity. So 1 less means 1. So any homology basis for a doubly connected region contains exactly one element. So that is we will observe now. But then any homology basis for omega contains exactly one element. That is any homology basis contains exactly one cycle. And the results have shown that if we consider any circle if we consider any circle in the annulus, it will form a homology basis. So this is the annulus. This is the annulus about which we are talking about. So in this annulus, if we consider any circle, so in this annulus, if we consider any circle, the center will be 0 and radius should be bigger than R1 and less than R2, so as to it lie in the annulus. So if we consider any circle in that annulus, it will form a homology basis. Now to form a homology basis, we need only one cycle, right? So if we consider any circle in particular, that forms a homology basis. So that is, if we consider the set containing the circle C, then it will form a homology basis for the region omega, for the annulus omega. Then so as this is a homology basis, given any cycle gamma in omega, we can write gamma is homologous to a linear combination of the single element C. So gamma will be homologous to n into C, where n will be actually the index of the center of this annulus, with respect to gamma. That integer will be actually the index of 0 with respect to gamma, right? These facts are all based on the studies. We are not discussing these in deep, just we are borrowing this, right? So any doubly connected region will have a homology basis element with exactly one element, and that one element can be chosen as any circle. So any circle in that annulus will form a homology basis. So given any cycle gamma, it will be homologous to n into C, where n is integer, and in fact it will be the index of 0 with respect to gamma, right? So as gamma is homologous to n into C, it nothing but means gamma minus n into C is homologous to 0. That means we got a cycle homologous to 0. Now by using the general statement of Cauchy's theorem, for any analytic function f of z in this region, its integral over the cycle gamma minus n into C will be equal to 0. So once again, using the same idea, integral over gamma minus n into C is integral over gamma plus integral over minus n into C. So that you can send this integral to the right hand side. So integral over gamma will be equal to integral over n into C. And integral over n into C means what? N is an integer. So if n is positive, it is nothing but n times C. If n is negative, it can be written as minus n into minus C, so that it will be minus n times minus C. So in any case, it will be n times the integral f of z over C. So integral f of z dz over gamma is n times the integral f of z dz over C, where what is C? C is actually a homology basis element. Homology basis element, right? So as C is a homology basis element, integral f of z dz over C can be called as the period of f of z. As there is one and only one homology basis element, there will be one and only one period for f of z. So how many elements will be there in homology basis element? That many number of periods will be there for the function. As there is one and only one basis element here, there will be only one period for f of z. Hence we have called P as the period of f of z. So here we can take this integral f of z is dz over C as P, which is called the period of f of z with respect to the homology basis element C. So this is a particular discussion of the above theory in case of a multiply connected region of connectivity 2. And here the period which we have taken is in fact the integral f of z dz over any circle in the annulus. And we observe that this value of the period is independent of the choice of the circle. If you choose any circle, the value of the period remains the same. So the period of f of z is unique in case of a doubly connected region, as any period is integral of f of z over any homology basis element. So here we observe that period is independent of the choice of the circle. So in place of C, if you choose any other circle also, the value of the period remains the same. So just we observe that. In fact, if you consider any other circle, if C dash is any other circle with some radius R dash, say in the same annulus, then this singleton set C dash will form once again a homology basis for the annulus modulus of Z greater than R1 less than R2. Now, in this annulus, we have considered two circles now. One circle is C, the other is C dash. Now consider C minus C dash. C minus C dash. Then we observe that C minus C dash is homologous to 0. C minus C dash is homologous to 0 means index of any point in the complement of omega with respect to this cycle is 0. So C minus C dash is homologous to 0 because if you check the index of any point A in the complement of omega with respect to C minus C dash, it is 0. Because what is the complement of omega? Either it is the inside of the smaller circle or outside of the bigger circle. So if you consider any point inside the smaller circle, so index with respect to C is 1 and index with respect to C dash is also 1. So 1 minus 1 will be 0. So index of any point inside the circle with respect to this cycle will be 0. And for any point outside the bigger circle, so these two circles, C and C dash will not enclose this point. So index will be 0. So the difference will also be 0. So in any case, this is true. So C minus C dash will be homologous to 0. So the integral f of the dz over C minus C dash will be 0 by general statement of Cauchy's theorem. So integral over C will be equal to integral over C dash, where this value is equal to this value, which is taken as period. So the period of f of z in a doubly connected region is independent of choice of the circle as a homology basis element. Okay. Now we shall come to the main definition of the residue of an analytic function at an isolated singularity. So we shall start with an analytic function. Let f of z be an analytic function in a region omega except at finitely many isolated singularities a1, a2, an. So that means, so f of z is analytic in a region omega except for some singularities. That is, we know that what are singularities? Singularities are those domain points at which f fails to be analytic. So f is analytic in omega except for some points. So those points are a1, a2, an. They are singularities. In particular, these are isolated singularities. So f is analytic in a region omega except for isolated singularities a1, a2, an. Then consider omega dash to be region obtained from omega after omitting finitely many isolated singularities. Then f of z will be completely analytic in omega dash, because omega dash is what? It is the region obtained from omega after removing all isolated singularities of f, right? So after removing all the singularities of f, so at all the remaining points f has to be analytic. So f will be analytic in omega dash. Okay. Now for each j, so how many isolated singularities are there? A1, A2, so on, AN. So I'll consider the index j for these. So for any j or for each j, what is AJ? AJ is an isolated singularity of f. So recall the definition of an isolated singularity. A singularity of a function f is said to be an isolated singularity if there is a neighborhood around it in which there are no other singularities, right? So there exists a neighborhood or there exists a delta j such that f of z is analytic in the whole delta j neighborhood of aj except at 0. So that is, So this is how the situation is. So omega is the region. It contains some isolated singularities. So if AJ is an isolated singularity, it means that there is a neighborhood around it in which F is completely analytic except at AJ. That is, F is analytic in the deleted neighborhood of AJ. F is analytic in this neighborhood except at AJ. Or in other words, so AJ is an isolated singularity means there is a neighborhood around it in which there are no other singularities. That is, there is a neighborhood around it. There are no other singularities means at all the points in that neighborhood, F has to be analytic, right? So F will be analytic in the deleted neighborhood of AJ with radius delta J, or F will be analytic in the punctured disk. We'll call this as punctured disk, or it is also called deleted neighborhood. Deleted neighborhood. Now, in this deleted neighborhood, consider Cj to be any circle. Let Cj be any circle about Aj, that is centered at Aj, contained in this deleted neighborhood of Aj. So now note that if we consider any deleted neighborhood, so what is deleted neighborhood? It is collection of all points in this neighborhood except the center, right? Except the center. So now consider this deleted neighborhood. Now what we are collecting? We are collecting all the points in this neighborhood except the center. Now the center Aj can be considered as the point circle. Can be considered as the point circle, and consider the circle with radius delta J with center Aj. So point Aj is considered as a point circle with center Aj, and there is another circle with center Aj, radius delta J. So we are collecting the points in between these two circles, right? In other words, so we are collecting points which is outside the point circle and inside the circle with radius delta J, right? So this is how is. So center Aj, radius delta J. So deleted neighborhood means we are collecting all the points of this neighborhood except the center. So center can be considered as a point circle, circle with radius 0. So this is one circle, this is one circle. So we are collecting points between these two circles. So collecting points between two circles, two concentric circles, is nothing but a annulus. So that means any deleted neighborhood is a annulus. So annulus means we have seen that any annulus is a doubly connected region. That means any annulus is a multiply connected region with connectivity 2, right? So note that the deleted neighborhood is a doubly connected region, or it is a multiply connected region with connectivity 2. So that any homology basis for this region is formed by a circle in this annulus. Now we have considered Cj to be circle in that deleted neighborhood. So the Singleton set Cj forms a homology basis for this deleted neighborhood, right? So let gamma be any cycle in this deleted neighborhood. Then as the Singleton set Cj is a homology basis, there exists an integer n such that gamma is homologous to n into Cj, where in particular n is actually the index of the center of this annulus with respect to gamma, right? So this is how, this is the deleted neighborhood centered at Aj with radius delta J. So this is the point circle, and this is the other circle with same center, radius delta J. So we are collecting the points between these two circles, right? So Aj is the point circle with center Aj, and this is the circle with center Aj delta J. So these two form concentric circles. So between these two circles, so the points which lie, it will form annulus, right? So that annulus is a doubly connected region or a multiply connected region of connectivity 2. And in this annulus, we have considered the circle Cj, so which forms a homology basis. So gamma will be homologous to n into Cj, or gamma minus n into Cj will be homologous to 0. Now, by general statement of Cauchy's theorem, for any analytic function in this annulus or the deleted neighborhood, integral of f of z over gamma minus n into Cj will be 0 because gamma minus n into Cj is homologous to 0. Now, just simplifying this equation, integral over gamma plus integral over minus n into Cj. So it will go to the right hand side. It will be integral over n into Cj, where n is an integer. So it will be n times the integral f of the dz over Cj. As Cj is a homology basis element, integral of f of z over Cj is taken as Pj, which is the period of f of z with respect to Cj. Now, in particular, in place of f of z, take the function 1 by z minus aj. Then the integral of the function 1 by 1 minus aj over the homology basis element Cj is 2 pi I. That is, in this annulus or in this deleted neighborhood, consider the function 1 by z minus aj. Note that 1 by z minus aj can be defined for all points except z is equal to aj. So we have considered the annulus or the deleted neighborhood. That means it contains all the points at a distance less than delta j except delta j. So we are excluding the center, so we are excluding the point aj. So 1 by z minus aj is defined in this deleted neighborhood, and it is also continuous because wherever it is defined, it is differentiable. Moreover, it is an analytic function, so it is continuous. So it's integral. So 1 by z minus aj is a analytic function in this deleted neighborhood. And if you consider the integral of that function over the homology basis element, the value is 2 pi I. So you can verify this easily. So using some integral rules, integral methods, so we can show that integral of 1 by z minus aj dz over the circle Cj is 2 pi I. As it is the integral of the function 1 by z minus aj over the homology basis element. So the value of this integral is nothing but the period of that function with respect to the homology basis element. And the period of that function is 2 pi I. Now construct the numbers Rj equals Pj by 2 pi I. Define Rj to be Pj by 2 pi I. Then with this choice of Rj, we note that the function f of z minus Rj by z minus aj has the period 0 with respect to Cj. So the period of this function with respect to Cj means what? It is nothing but the value of the integral of this function over Cj. So we observe that it is equal to 0. So integral of f of z minus Rj by z minus aj over Cj is integral f of z dz over Cj minus Rj into integral dz by z minus aj by over Cj. So this is nothing but Pj, the period of f of z with respect to Cj minus Rj as it is, and the period of 1 by z minus aj over Cj is 2 pi I. And on simplification, we get 0. So that means the integral of this function over the homology basis element Cj is 0. Or in other words, we can say the function f of z minus Rj by z minus aj has the period 0. And this is because of the choice of Rj. Because of the choice of Rj, in a suitable way, we made the period of this function 0. So with this choice of Rj, we can make the period of the function f of z minus Rj by z minus aj is 0. Right? So the constants Rj's, what we have chosen, make the function f of z minus Rj by z minus aj to have the period 0. And these numbers Rj's are called residues of the function f of z at the isolated singularities aj's. So for any isolated singularity aj, So the Rj which we have chosen, which makes the function f of z minus Rj by z minus Aj to have the period 0. So this constant Rj, which makes the function f of z minus Rj by z minus Aj to have the period 0, is called residue of the function f of z at the isolated singularity Aj. So for each isolated singularity Aj, what we have done now, we have chosen Rj such that the function f of z minus Rj by z minus Aj have the period 0. And these constants are helping this function to have the period 0. And these constants are called residues of the function f of z at the isolated singularities Aj's. And further, based on the above discussion, if gamma is any closed curve, in this deleted neighborhood or in this annulus, as Cj is a homology basis, so gamma is a closed curve, so we can consider it as a cycle also. So gamma is a cycle in this annulus, so gamma will be homologous to a linear multiple of Cj, the homology basis element. So gamma will be homologous to n into Cj, or gamma minus n into Cj will be homologous to 0. So that if I consider the integral of the function f of z minus Rj by z minus Aj over gamma minus n into Cj, so it will be 0, because this is an analytic function, and by general statement of Cauchy's theorem, its integral over any cycle which is homologous to 0 will be equal to 0. So on simplification, we get integral of f of z minus Rj by z minus Aj over any closed curve gamma is 0, because on simplification, so this will be integral over gamma plus integral over minus n into c. It goes to the right hand side. So integral over n into c will be n times the integral over Cj. Right? So integral over Cj. So this is the integral of this function over the homology basis element, which is nothing but the period of this function. And we have showed that the period of this function with respect to Cj is 0. So n into 0 will be 0. That means integral of the function f of z minus Rj by z minus Aj over any closed curve is 0. So for every closed curve gamma, its integral over gamma is 0. So if this is true for some function, then that function represents the derivative of some analytic function we have observed earlier. That is, if integral of some function f of z over any closed curve is 0, then f of z represents derivative of some analytic function. Here, for any closed curve gamma in this annulus, its integral over gamma is 0. So which shows that the function f of z minus Rj by z minus Aj represents the derivative of some analytic function in this annulus. And in other words, we observe that the constants Rj's which we have chosen, so the suitable choice of Rj makes the function f of z minus Rj by z minus Aj to represent the derivative of some analytic function in the annulus modulus of z minus Aj greater than 0, less than delta j. So that means the theory says that so the Rj's which you have chosen suitably, so these constants are helping this function. These constants are helping this function f of z minus Rj by z minus Aj to be the derivative of some analytic function with respect to the isolated singularity Aj. So these constants are called the residues of the function f of z at the isolated singularities Aj's. So in short, residue of an analytic function at an isolated singularity is nothing but a constant. It is nothing but a number which makes the function f of z minus Rj by z minus Aj as the derivative of some analytic function. So any constant which does this work is called the residue of an analytic function. Right? So just we shall formally make a definition of it. The residue of an analytic function f of z at an isolated singularity A is nothing but the unique constant r. It is nothing but a number r, which makes the function f of z minus r by z minus a as the derivative of some analytic function in an annulus modulus of z minus a less than delta greater than 0. So given an analytic function f of z with an isolated singularity a, so residue of f of z at the isolated singularity a is nothing but a constant r. It is nothing but a constant r, which makes the function f of z minus r by z minus a has the derivative of some analytic function. So yava constant r f of z minus r by z minus a ಅನ್ನೋ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಡೆರಿವೇಟಿವ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಮ್ ಅನಾಲಿಟಿಕ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡತ್ತೋ ಆ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು ರೆಸಿಡ್ಯೂ ಆಫ್ ದ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಎಫ್ ಆಫ್ ಝೆಡ್ ಅಟ್ ದ ಐಸೋಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಸಿಂಗುಲಾರಿಟಿ ಇ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ರೈಟ್. ಅಂಡ್ ರೆಸಿಡ್ಯೂ ಆಫ್ ದ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಎಫ್ ಆಫ್ ಝೆಡ್ ಅಟ್ ದ ಐಸೋಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಸಿಂಗುಲಾರಿಟಿ ಎ is r, and it is symbolically denoted by this symbol, right? And in the definition, I have stressed that it is the unique constant r. That means whenever the residue of a function f of z at an isolated singularity exists, it is always unique. There cannot be more than one residue value for a function f at an isolated singularity, right? So just we shall justify it. The residue of an analytic function at an isolated singularity is unique. It is unique always whenever it exists, right? Now to justify that, let f of z be an analytic function in a region omega with only isolated singularity a. So now the assumption is f is analytic in some region omega which contains only one isolated singularity. So there is one and only one isolated singularity. Then as a is an isolated singularity, there is a neighborhood around a in which f is completely analytic except at a. That is, there exists a delta such that f of z is completely analytic in the annulus or in the deleted neighborhood modulus of z minus a greater than 0 less than delta. That is, f of z is analytic in this neighborhood except at a. So modulus of z minus a greater than 0 andre it cannot be equal to 0. Modulus of z minus a will be equal to 0 whenever z is equal to a. So except at z is equal to a, point a na bittu ulida ella points hatranu f analytic ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ, right? Now as f is an analytic function and a is an isolated singularity of f at isolated singularity z is equal to a, we can define the residue of the function f, right? So now f is an analytic function and a is an isolated singularity of f. So now we can define residue of f of z at the isolated singularity a, right? And what is it? It is nothing but the constant r. It is some number r which makes the function f of z minus r by z minus a to represent the derivative of some analytic function, or it makes this function to have the period 0 with respect to any homology basis element. Now consider it to be some r. Let r be residue of the function f of z at the isolated singularity z is equal to a. It is symbolically represented as this. So r is the residue of the function f of z at the isolated singularity a. Means what? It makes the function, it helps the function f of z minus r by z minus a to have the period 0. That means the integral of this function over the homology basis element is 0, right? Where c is any circle centered at the isolated singularity a contained in the deleted neighborhood. So as the deleted neighborhood is a doubly connected region, any circle forms a homology basis element, and integral of this function over any homology basis element, which is nothing but the period, will be equal to 0, as we have assumed r is the residue of the function f of z at z is equal to a. Now just we shall simplify it. So integral over c minus r times integral of dz by z minus a over c, right? So the integral of f of z over the homology basis element C represents the period of f of z. So I shall take it as P, and integral of 1 by z minus a dz over the circle C actually gives you the value 2 pi I. So P minus R into 2 pi I will be equal to 0, where P is actually the period of f of z with respect to the homology basis element C. So on simplification, we get R to be equal to P by 2 pi I. So that is the value of the residue of the function f of z at z is equal to a is equal to P by 2 pi I, where 2 pi I is our constant. So it depends on the value of the period of f of z with respect to the homology basis element C. But previously we have observed that the period of f of z is independent of the choice of C. So whatever the circle you choose in that annulus, so the period of the function remains the constant. So the period of f of z with respect to any homology basis element, that is with respect to any circle in that annulus, is constant. So P is independent of radius of C. So whatever the radius you choose for the circle C, so the value of P will not change. So the value of P remains the same. Or in other words, P is constant for any homology basis element. So if you consider any homology basis element C, the value of the P is fixed. So that value of R is fixed. So as R is completely dependent on the value of P, which is constant for all the homology basis elements, right? So the value of P actually depends. What is the value of P? It is the integral of f of z dz over any homology basis element, right? So if you consider any homology basis element, so its integral is fixed. We have seen earlier. So the value of the period is unchanged. It remains unchanged by changing the homology basis element. So as P is constant, R will be constant. So thus R will be unique. That is, residue of a function at an isolated singularity is always unique. It is always unique. And in short, so if f of z is any analytic function and z is equal to a is an isolated singularity, then the residue of f of z at the isolated singularity a is nothing but the constant which makes the function f of z minus r by z minus a to represent the derivative of some analytic function, or it helps this function to have the period 0, right? So this is about the introduction of calculus of residues.